out of all the new anime that has come out this anime season, if we're not counting like sequel series like Overlord, Made in Abyss, etc., I would say that Lycoris Recoil might be one of my personal favorites because sitting down and watching today's episode that came out, it really has this good atmosphere about it in terms of being very lighthearted, but you can also see underneath everything, the brightness and I'm just going to show the colors of the series, just how it's a very bright and vibrant series. It puts a smile on your face and it seems very inviting when you look at this series. But at the same time, and if you really look deep enough, there is something darker going on. And I'm always a huge fan of those type of stories that have this double meaning, basically, where just at surface value, if you look at it, it's just something that you can watch on a weekly basis, relax, enjoy it, and that's about it. Obviously, there's a serious story going on, you get into it, but you don't have to think too deep about it. But obviously there is those, such as myself, that want to look a little bit deeper and look at what the true message of the story is trying to tell, and what's potentially going to happen at the end of Lycoris Recoil. Now, to kind of get into the nitty-gritty of this is obviously episode 5. So we're 5 weeks into this anime season, and 5 episodes is pretty deep into a new series, basically. You kind of get a good concept of where the story might be going, you understand maybe what the characters are, the roles within the story, etc. And obviously, we're still learning a lot about these characters. Like, for instance, Chisato in, this episode, as you can see, she was someone that revealed quite a bit about herself early on when it came to her heart. We kind of find out Chisato here, she has an artificial heart. She has a solid iron or steel heart, and you can look at this as a metaphor, or you can also look at this as a physical entity within her body. Both things are very true, that maybe she has a very stilled, ice cold heart, and she tries to act she's happy-go-lucky and nice, but there's obviously a darker stuff in the inside of her mind that's going on. And I appreciate the multi-layers that this episode went and what this series is doing in the first place. So let's just talk about it, let's explain it. So basically, this episode, if I really wanted to kind of summarize it, it's basically about, protecting an individual, like the old man here, as you can see. And Chisato is just trying to make him have a good time, because a long time ago, 20 years ago, the man lost his family. He lost everyone, he lost his wife, he lost his children, he basically has nothing, and he fled to the States to be able to not be assassinated. And obviously, we fast forward to present time of the story, he comes back to Japan, and he wants to be able to have a good time, basically the way the presentation of the episode is, he wants to have a bucket list, he wants to just be able to see the sights, be able to see, Japan, be able to just relax and have a good time, be able to just, enjoy himself, enjoy life once again, because when you actually, look at him as a character, he's someone that is bound in a chair, as you can see. He's someone that is not able to function as a normal human being anymore, which is a very sad existence. When you look at him overall, the first thought you're probably going to get is sadness and pity. That's probably the general emotion many would think when they look at his character. Imagine, losing everything, losing your family, losing everyone in the past, but then, you're still living on, despite that, and now you can't even function, you can't even move as a normal human being. It paints this very sad image. Obviously, the truth comes out towards the ending of the episode. The old man here actually was just someone that was in the hospital, and he was being remote controlled by devices, recordings, etc., and the old man really was just not conscious whatsoever, and it was an entirely different person that was speaking throughout the episode. But the point still stands, is that the overall emotion and vibe that the episode was giving you was that this might be the last day that the guy is living, and that, the guy wants to live his life to the fullest. And so, Chisato, one of our main female characters, she basically just wants to give him the time of her life. As you can see here with the subtitles, as long as if my video isn't, cutting it off, she wants to go sightseeing with him. Just have a good time. Even though she is his bodyguard and trying to protect him from an assassin, she wants to be able to have a good time. And so, that entire emotion kind of perfectly intertwines with some of the things that happen throughout the episode. We get to see some stuff with Chisato that reveals, once again, she does have a still heart, and her overall, heart she has was given to her not by, the DEA, that is, the Lycoris's, but someone of the Allen institution. And we get a little bit of hints and foreshadowing all this throughout the episode, and there's been a lot with like the owl symbol that is around Chisato's neck that she carries around. We definitely seen these hits. The foreshadowing has definitely been there, but like when you really take a hard look at like what direction, this episode was going, it basically paints that Chisato is probably going to die. Like, that is my general impression. Like, when I, like, think about just the situation of this episode and the old man's, story, at least even though we know it's fake now, I feel like this was telling us that maybe this is Chisato's story. Like, that, she is someone that's probably going to die eventually. She's someone that is on borrowed time. Eventually, there's going to become a point to where she's going to die. And that's my impressions of the episode, because I feel like if we just look at everything at, face value, it's just like, oh, it's a sad story of an old man. But I feel like this was hinting at maybe the end of the series that, Chisato, she's going to die, because one day the metal heart within her either is going to stop working for whatever reason, or she doesn't do what her actual purpose is, because it's being hinted that she needs to be able to kill, etc., and she obviously doesn't want to do that. If she doesn't do her purpose, most likely the Allen Institute can just shut it off, and she probably will die. So just everything is leading towards the fact that she is eventually going to die, and she's trying to make as many happy memories and live on borrowed time as long as she can. I mean, she even mentions in this episode kind of the concept of why she doesn't want to harm people or kill people. She doesn't want to take people's time, because she realizes that people only have a limited amount of time, and she doesn't want to be the one to do that. She just wants to make them be able to change their ways or punish them for trying to take someone else's time and just have them live their life. And it's a very respectable reason, obviously, and I feel like it's a very personal endeavor for her, because she realizes that the life that she probably has is limited, and that she's basically already lost her life. She's walking around pretty much as not really human anymore, since she technically doesn't have a beating heart, and she probably is like, I don't want others to feel like me. I don't want others to go exactly through what I'm going through. And I feel like the relationship she has, obviously, with Takina is very important to this. Basically, Takina is someone that's more like robotic. Like, once again, when you see the overall interactions of Takina and, like, Chisato, Chisato seems very energetic, bubbly, even, and that's what I talked about in my first impressions. And obviously, finding out what we know now, she's more of a robot than, let's say, a human. And when you look at Takina, she obviously is full human. We know she has, a heart, etc., but she acts more robotic. And obviously, as the story progresses, I think what's going to happen is that the dynamic between the two characters are probably going to shift. You're going to have Takina become more human, more outgoing, more bubbly, more so able to interact with others, while probably Chisato is going to become more closed off, shut in, and eventually become more of a killing machine than anything else. That's my general thought process on where the story is actually going. Now, I do want to talk about one big thing that this, series does, and I think one thing that's kind of been hiding in plain sight is the fact that there is a lot of, like, flower symbolism in this series. Like, if you go to, like, the key visual, like, if you were to type in Lycoris Recoil on Google and look it up, you will legitimately see, like, flowers. Flowers that are very reminiscent of just ominous omens or death itself. Like, if anyone has read Tokyo Ghoul or watched the anime, oh, man, if you watch anime, I feel bad for you. But, the point is if you have legitimately seen anything of Tokyo Ghoul, there's a lot of flowers in TG. Flowers can represent a lot of things, like life, etc., but it also can represent death. And obviously, Ashita Sui, the author of Tokyo Ghoul, he used that concept quite a bit. However, there is a lot of other manga, a lot of light novels, and art, etc., that use flowers in such a way as well to just depict death, or, symbolic for death itself. And when I think about just what this series has done with, like, flowers, etc., I have that feeling that, it's hinting that she's going to die. One of our characters are going to die, either Takina or Chisato, or maybe the death might not be of, let's say, the body, it might be of the mind or the heart itself, or maybe technically, since she already has an artificial heart, maybe she already technically has died, and maybe that's what the series is trying to reference. There's multiple meanings to this and multiple ways to really look at the symbolic nature of Lycoris Recoil, and like I said, I think episode 5 is fantastic. It gives us a lot of depth with her character, and I can't wait to see where it's going to go, how the story opens up more as we progress throughout the episodes. But I guess that's about it. I went on a long-winded discussion. I apologize if you did not enjoy that. I think this series is fascinating. I mean, once again, surface value, looks like a typical slice of life, looks like Yuri bait, etc. But there's just so much more here that you could really dive into, and I love that type of stuff. That's stuff I crave when I'm watching a series. I want, like, just something that really makes my mind start to think. But okay. You all have a fantastic day. If you enjoyed this video, please do leave me a like. As always, it does help me out a lot, and I would greatly appreciate it. It'd put a smile on my face and make my day, and I don't know, it helps with the algorithm as well. I mean, it allows more videos to pop up if, more people are interested in my content. It's the truth. And anyways, be safe, everyone. Stay healthy. Chibi out.